My name's Whit and I am the Sparta Community Branch Manager. Today we're going to do a real quick and easy gardening project. We're going to make Hypertufa pots. So what's Hypertufa? It is a material that mimics a natural material, tufa, which is a type of rock that was carved into like watering troughs for animals or planters for plants. But then this is a man-made version of that. It is a lightweight cement mixture that you can form just with your hands or in a mold that you can use to make rustic planters. It's also very scalable. So today we're going to make small ones, but then you can also make huge planters. And because it's so lightweight, it makes it really easy to move around. But this is a good way to get a taste of what it's like. So let's talk about what we're going to need for this project. We are going to need some pretty straightforward ingredients. The first ingredient we need is Portland cement, not concrete, not Quikrete, but Portland cement. And it's just a gray powder. It comes in pretty large bags. So if you like this, you'll be able to make a much larger project. The second item we need is peat moss. That is also you can get in your gardening section. Perlite, which is a natural stone that is very, very lightweight. If you've ever bought a potting mix and there's little white bits in it, that's what perlite is, but you can also find that in a gardening area. And then that's the basic Hypertufa recipe, but then we need something to make it structurally sound and make it all stick together. And for this project, we're going to use sand. It does add a little bit of weight to it, but it's the easiest thing to find, and it really makes it hold up well. You can also use different types of structural material. People use fiberglass a lot, just little fiberglass fibers. And then that makes it a very lightweight structure. There we go. That's the word. So the other items you're going to need are, let me move things around. We're going to be making these in zipper bags. So I have gallon size here. You can use a smaller size, but really this makes a usable size pot. Anything smaller than that, it's kind of more a specialty tiny pot. But these are not going to be very large, but these we're going to use a gallon size zipper bag. You're also going to need some sort of scoop or a cup. A plastic cup would work. You just need for all this, it's a 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 ratio. So you just need something you're going to make equal measurements with it. It doesn't have to be a specific measurement. We're kind of winging it a little bit. You're also going to want gloves. Portland cement, it can be caustic to your skin. It can burn you a little bit. And so it also is going to be messy because we're working with cement. So you definitely want to use gloves and make sure you wash your hands well after this. And then also because of the Portland cement, you want a desk mask so that you don't get that in your lungs. I also have this little fork that I use to mix it up a little bit, but you can use a stick or a spoon or whatever you have, or nothing at all. This is what I prefer to use. And then after everything's done, you're going to want a wire brush to kind of knock down the edges of the cement after it's cured for a little while. So that's what we need for this project. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with our zipper bag here, and we're going to open it up. I get the freezer bags just because they're a little bit thicker plastic, but also this is a great opportunity to recycle a bag that you've used for food storage or whatever. Just rinse it out and you can use it for this. You won't be able to use it again afterwards. So I'm going to use this scoop. This happens to be a cup, but you certainly don't have to have this exactly measured out. It is a little bit, it's not an exact science. So we're just going to scoop. I'm going to start with 1 scoop of each ingredient, and then we'll see how much that makes. And if I want it to be a little bit bigger, I'll add some more. Ooh, see, it's a little dusty for sure. Let's knock this down a little. All right, come on, cooperate with me. All right, there it goes. So we're just kind of eyeballing it. That's the Portland cement. Here's the peat moss. I try to not get to, if I see like sticks or anything in there, I try to pull those out. This is, you know, a natural ingredient, so it might have some natural things in there, but we don't want it to. Oh, got a little stick. We'll take that out. All right, and this is the perlite. This is a really interesting stone. I didn't know much about it, so I looked it up, and it's actually related to obsidian, that glassy black stone. I'm not a geologist, so I'm not sure how that works, but apparently it's the same kind of stone, just with a different amount of hydration. All right, and then our final addition is going to be this sand. I prefer to use a finer sand. It doesn't have to be perfectly fine, obviously, but I have used it with a bit coarser sand, and it makes for a rougher. The one that I'll show you, the finished one I'll show you, does have a bit of a coarser sand in it, and it does make a little bit different of a difference in the texture. So I think that, let's see, I'm going to add just a little bit more, just to make it a little slightly bigger. So I'm going to add just like a half of one of these scoops in here of all this stuff. I'm going to go in the, not the same order, doesn't really matter. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. All right, get those in there. All right, so that's going to make us a substantial sized pot. So you want to seal this up. You can leave a little bit of air in the bag because we're going to turn this bag basically into a cement mixer and just tumble it until it's well incorporated. You want to make sure, like when you're turning it over, that anything that might be in the corners gets incorporated. You don't want a big clump of Portland cement or anything in there. So just however you want to do it, just get it really good and mixed up. All right, that looks pretty well combined. Oh, I see a big stick in there. I'm going to pull that guy out. We don't need you. Just another little clumpy guy. All right. So open it back up. So this is where the magic happens. Something I forgot to say that you do need is water. That's a super important part of this step. So we need to add some water in here. And this is the part where you kind of have to get you know, use your instincts on this. We want to get it to a point where it kind of will hold together when you clump it, but we don't want it soupy. So we kind of want to add the water a little bit at a time. All right. So this is where I like to use my little fork because I don't want to, even though I have gloves on, I don't want to get my gloves all gross. So I kind of stir him in. All right. This project is really nice because even though it is pretty messy, it is really well contained in the bag. So again, I'm gonna close it up. I'm going to do the mix. This is obviously not enough water. We just want to consistently get it mixed throughout the bag. You'll see it will start getting clumpy, but we want to make sure it's pretty consistently through all of the mixture. So I'm going to stop again. Add a little more water. Ooh. And the same thing. You'll start seeing little clumps form, and I tend to break those up because we want to make sure everything gets well incorporated. But those little clumps are a sign that, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is stick together. And give it just a little massage here. Let's see. I don't think that's mixed enough, but the way we're going to test it, again, see, it starts forming its own little clumps, but you want to take it in your hand and squeeze it. And then see how it crumbles so easily when I shake it a little bit? That means it doesn't have enough water yet. So let's add a little bit more. Sure. I still don't think we're quite there yet. Oh, it's looking better. Again, make sure you get the corners mixed in. That looks close. I think we're definitely close. Again. Oh, that's really close. That's pretty much what we're going to do. I'm going to put just a tiny bit more water, give it another good mix. Just a little splash. Okay. Give it a little bit more of a mix because I want to make sure it's going to stick. All right. There's not a method that's wrong for doing this part. You just want to really make sure it's really well incorporated. All right. All right, let's do a check again. Oh, that looks really nice. It looks like it's everything's the same kind of color and consistency. Let's give it a squeeze and see what happens. Let's get the stick out of here. All right. Okay, a little bit crumbled off, but the main ball here, let's try to get into a ball. It's pretty good. Another stick. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, if you leave sticks in there, it's not a huge deal, but it's just my personal preference not to have them in there. Sorry. Yeah, that's good. Well, I feel like it's right, but I don't, because you're going to basically press this into the form that you want it to be in, so you want it to make sure it's going to hold its shape. All right. I'm going to put in just a little more water. All right, just a little splash. Ooh, okay. Now, so say you were mixing this and, oh no, you've overwatered it and you now have this super soupy mixture. So if it does get a little bit too damp and, you know, water, when you squeeze it, water is like dripping out of it, that can be remedied by just taking some of the dry ingredients and adding in equal measurements some more back in. So, all right, this really should be it. All right. Okay, still looking good. Let's see what it does for me. Get a real good squeeze. Oh yeah, that's really nice and holds together nicely. All right, so we're at the point where we can form things together. I'm gonna take off my mask because there isn't any Portland cement dust in the air any longer, so we're good. All right, so for this portion, this is where we're going to form it into the shape of our planter. You want to zip it up again. I fold it over so we can get most of the air out. It doesn't have to be perfectly, you know, no air at all, but we don't want a big bubble in there. I tuck the little corners under because that's the shape I want it to be. But if you want it to look more like a plastic bag, you're welcome to leave the corners out like that. It can be cute looking like that. So we're going to have like a little oblong shape when just the bag shape. But we need to make our depression, obviously, for if we want to put plants in here. So you can use a cup or a bowl or something to make a perfect shape in here, but I just use my fist, and that works for me. And then from there, we're just gonna form the walls. And this is kind of brute force, shaping it into the shape that you want it to be in. You can do things like make one side taller than the other if you want kind of like a waterfall looking effect. Also, this is kind of doing that by naturally, so maybe that's what we're going to do. I like to stick my fingers down here and kind of make this a more an upright angle and just form it. You're also pressing it down and compressing it. And you'll feel that it's taking that shape. That sand really makes it have a good structure to the pot. So you're using the outside of the bag, that's the pressure from the outside, and then using your hand to make a wall to the edge of this pot. And you're pressing it down flat in the middle again with your fist. So just form, and this is really where you can get creative. You can make different shapes. You can also, if you wanted to make this to be something not as naturalistic, you could put this in a cardboard box and it would have straight sides. You could put it in a bowl. You could, and like I said, it's scalable. So you could have a really big bowl and then set a bowl inside of that to hold it in shape of a bowl. You can do a lot of different things with this. With Hypertufa, I've also done sculptural things before, so you can make shapes or figures. Just really the limit is your own creativity for what you want to do. So if you're planning to have plants in this, you do want a drain hole, so just thumb. So I just use my thumb and press through. If it doesn't get all the way to the bottom, you can knock it out when it's all dry. So, but I try to get all the way to the bottom as much as I can. And there's your drain hole. So again, just press it and you'll feel it firming up. There. Now, if it feels like it's too crumbly or too wet, you can again smash it all down and reform it, add more ingredients, add more water, whatever you think to get to the point where it will hold itself up. So that, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I feel like we're at a good spot where it will make a nice little bowl for us. Just forming these little edges, just tamping down the top here. That's it. So this guy is going to need at least 24 hours in this bag, put out of the way. We're not going to mess with it. We're not going to touch it any further. It's already pretty structurally sound, so you can lift it up and move it somewhere to tuck it in. But if you like dropped it, it would definitely just break apart very easily. But so this guy will cure for 24 hours before we do anything with it. Let me show you some ones that I've had curing for about 48 hours, and you can see what that looks like. So here we have a couple that I've had tucked away for about 48 hours. So they've been curing for that time. It's a chemical process with cement. I'm not super familiar with it, but it can put off like a lot of heat. So just be aware that if it feels warm, the next time you touch it, that's what's going on. So these are a little stinky because of the peat moss. And you might I just tear these apart because it's hard to get them out of the bag otherwise. So here's one guy. And I made him with a higher edge in the back. Here you'll see that I didn't get my thumbprint all the way through, so I'll have to knock through the bottom with probably like a nail or something. And then this one I made in a smaller bag. So this could hold like maybe a single succulent or something like that. Come here. Oh, this will just rip me too. I was hoping he'd come out. Oh my gosh, I'm not strong enough. Okay, there it goes. All right, so they're pretty crumbly when they first come out of the bag. Oh, this guy's really lumpy. We call that character. It has a lot of character. So they're pretty crumbly, and you're gonna that's where the wire brush comes in. You're gonna knock off all the loose bits. Like I said, these are stinky guys, so it's not too bad. But if you can do this outside, I would recommend it. So basically we're just going to knock off any loose bits out of the middle. These are pretty shallow, so you're not going to be able to plant like a shrubbery in here or anything, but they are really nice for, like I said, succulents, and they look really great once it's grown all over. One thing that Hypertufa is really known for, and people like it for a lot, is that it will grow moss on it. So you can make up a moss mixture of like buttermilk and some moss you found somewhere, and then paint it onto it, and it will grow really well on on the surface. So basically when it dries, it looks a lot like a natural rock. And so if you grow moss on it, that really adds to that effect. Let's get this guy off here. So this is this little guy. Like I said, like you could put like maybe a single succulent in here and it would look really cute. But that being said, if you want these for your, like this guy I probably would keep inside with a succulent in it, but if you wanted something like this for your garden, really scale it up and it will weather outside very nicely. And like I said, grow moss on it and age really well. They lighten up quite a bit after they've been dried thoroughly and cured. Ooh, this guy's losing a lot of rocks, but that's okay. That's okay. And you can paint them as well if you want to. You can also use cement colorant that you can use, like they use it for like cement floors and stuff like that to make it a certain color. It looks really nice with like a terracotta color in it as well. So, all right. So they kind of look like blobs when they first come out. They're not the prettiest thing, but once you get plants in them, once they start aging, they look just like a natural stone and they look really cute. So once you have these, you know, knocked down a little bit, kind of looking how you want to, you want to rewrap them in plastic. I just use like grocery sacks and then tuck them away. You can technically start using them right away, but you want these to cure for as long as possible and you want them to stay damp. So I take these, wrap them up in just a grocery sack and then tuck them away somewhere and kind of forget about them for a month. You probably want them to cure at least a week for them to kind of lose their natural crumbliness. But then after that, you could use them as plants. You could plant them right now, but the risk that they might crumble on you is higher if you use them right away. But I like to let them cure for a good full month and then get them out and start using them. Let me show you what they look like when they've cured for a while. So this one has been curing for over a month and I planted it with some succulents and this is what they look like when they're all finished and cured. Like I said, they're real lightweight and they're rock hard. They feel like a stone. So there's a drainage hole in the bottom so I can water these. This can go outside. I'd keep these succulents inside, but they can go outside. And if you make them larger, if you scale them up, they're great for planting any sort of plant and nice for moving around in your garden because they're so lightweight. That's Hypertufa. I hope you enjoy it.